By faith, I command you to record. Okay, we're talking about
You might.
faith.
Thank you.
We were talking. Okay, we're talking about faith, and one of the gals said, "Well, when we get to heaven, what are we going to need faith for?" And we're talking that we're not. Heaven is not a dormant place. It's not a place of inactivity. You don't go there, get a heart, and sit on a cloud, and that's it for like what, eternity? No, God has eternal purposes and plans for all of us. He doesn't reveal that to us. All he wants us to know and get to know is get to heaven. When you get there, you'll know, right? And so if we know all things and we go to heaven, we know all things. I don't know if we'll know all things in heaven, but we will know him as he knows us. Scripture says, right? And we'll see fully and not partially, right? Some of the teaching that I teach on resurrection from the dead is the importance of our life as we live it out on the earth. Reflects on the resurrection from the dead and the position that we take in heaven, okay? And we'll get to that maybe sometime in the way, way future. Now, faith is that substance. Faith is the real world. Faith is the way that God's world works. God works in faith. God uses faith, right? And so we'll see that. And so the authority. Okay. Anyway, we'll see about that. Okay. So now. What is faith? Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Okay, so when we're looking for faith, we're looking for unseen evidence. We're looking for things that you cannot see. Where in the wide world of sports are you going to find that? Right? We're looking for unseen evidence. Now, did Jesus die on the cross? How many know that he did?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No.
What do you mean? You didn't see it, and how do you know? Huh?
Believe it by faith.
You just woke up one day and he was there? I don't think so. It's a nice theory, but no, how do we know?
God's word. We read it in the word.
No, but it is by faith, but how did we know that Jesus? Hey?
From the word of God.
Yeah,
The word says it.
because the word painted a picture for us, right?
Yeah.
We got, and so how many know that by his stripes we're healed?
The word. The word.
The word, right? And the other thing, okay, so now, I'm saying it this way because when you go to an accident, the RCMP has told us that when you go to an accident, when they go to an accident and there's 4 or 5 people that witness the accident, they take the youngest version first because it'll be the most accurate. The youngest one will tell them exactly what he saw. He doesn't know whether it's right or wrong. He just saw it, right? He has no preconceived ideas. There's no, this guy was, texting on his phone and he looked over at the light and then that guy hit him and then, right? And he'll just tell you everything. Well, now the other, as they go up in age, their opinions now begin to take place, right? And so why are they collecting evidence?
Get the whole picture.
Get the whole picture for what? Why would we collect evidence?
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty or not guilty? They're going to court over this stuff. Evidence is so you can go to court and what?
Oh,
Prove your point. So, faith is the evidence. Faith comes by the collecting of evidence. We collect evidence all the time. Some guy next door to you gets healed of cancer, it's an evidence.
wow.
You collect it. Right? Pastor preaches on healing, you collect the evidence that he talks about. We didn't see Jesus? He says, we believe, but we haven't seen him. Paul says, you believe and you have never seen him. The apostles saw Jesus. We have never seen Jesus. They walked with him for 3.5 years. They watched him do all kinds of stuff, right? And when they got saved, man, all that stuff kicked in like boom. That's not the case in our lives. We're reading the evidence that they put in the book so we could figure out what that evidence is trying to tell us. Right? So we're looking at the unseen to bring it into our reality. So when you, so here's a scripture. Am I going over too far here? I'll finish. So here's the substance is eternity, the substance is unseen, and it makes certain of the realities that we cannot see. It makes us certain of the realities we can't see. How do we know that what we can't see is actually the reality? Faith. So we look for those things. When I'm reading Isaiah 53, which I don't know a Christian that doesn't need to memorize that and have it in their hearts continuously day and night. Because what it shows us is what Jesus actually did on the cross. Right? Shows us that sin from all the world came on to Jesus. It shows us that all sickness came on. It shows us all wrath came on to Jesus. All judgment came on. Every evil thing that is in the universe, not only in earth but in heaven, came on Jesus when he was on the cross. Well, now when you read the New Testament, you don't see that. It's hidden in the Old Testament. But it's telling us what happened in the Spirit. It took place in the Spirit. You didn't see sin being put on Jesus on the cross. You don't read that. You don't read there, stand there, and then all of a sudden, oh man, here comes Southeast Asia's sin. Oh yeah, there it's on Jesus now. Oh, here comes the Ukrainian sin. It's on. No. But it did happen. And you know what happened, don't you? You believe that already. You know that because that's why you got saved. You know that your sin is on Jesus, right? But it happened where? In the unseen. We didn't physically see it. It was done in the unseen. Now, how do we get that unseen pulled into the scene? I asked Jesus to forgive my sins, and immediately the unseen changes the scene. See? We believed in our heart. Then when you got saved, when you gave your life to Jesus, somewhere along the line you just said, okay, I believe it. And immediately you were forgiven. Immediately something changed in your life. Now for some of us it's more drastic than others, but something changed. For some people, and I know this because I've been at this a long time, you say, I don't feel anything any different, right? And then, you see them a couple months later, I don't know, right? Except for they're thinking about God all the time. And before they asked Jesus, and they never even thought about God. They didn't dream that there was a God. And now they've confronted Jesus in some measure, and they're thinking about Jesus all the time. I remember when I first got saved, I was so tormented that I was bad, right? Like everything, I had lust issues, and so I would be going down the street to witness, and I'd see a good-looking girl, and I'd be like, oh, and I would look like this, and so and then I look up, and there's another one, and so then I decided I'm going to walk my head like this, and then they're coming out of the windows. I'm like, oh, Jesus. I said, Jesus, I don't think I'm saved. He says, well, why are you thinking about me all the time? You're always concerned about what I think about what you're doing. I said, I'm brand new, aren't I? I'm a totally different person. It never would have crossed my mind to think like that, ever. And I realized I was changed because of the way I was thinking. And at that time, I spoke in tongues and everything, right? But I had to go through the initiations of being human. To realize, yes, my God has changed me. I didn't know what I was, but I knew I was changed, right? And that's all they told us, and that's all we got, right? All this other stuff we learn as we go along. So, making sure, are you certain? Faith is there when you are certain of the realities you can't see. So there is a convincing, there's a gathering of informations, there's a gathering of evidence until your heart is filled with the certainty that when you lay your hands upon the sick, that the power of Jesus comes from the other world into this world and heals their bodies. You know it, you know it, you know it. Why? Because Jesus did it. When I close my eyes, I can see him doing it. Because I know what it says. I've collected the evidence, and I've witnessed it all over the world where God has healed, healed, and healed, and healed. God is a healer. God heals. It's just so simple. God heals. No, it's not that simple, because you got to collect the evidence until you come to the fact that, you know what? God heals. I don't care what you did. So you don't get healed because you eat improperly? Right? Like that's how some of us, say, well, if I ate better, I wouldn't, God would heal me. We think like that, right? If I had a better lifestyle, I would, if I did this, if I did that. Do you know why sickness and disease is here? Because there's a devil. Jesus came to destroy the works of the devil. Regardless of your lifestyle or your eating habits or your exercise habits or any of those kind of things, the healing of God is still available because it's done in another world, not subject to this world. This world is subject to that world, not the other way around. This world is subject to the unseen, right? And it's very, faith is, God is intricate. Think about God having to regain every rebel part of the world and of heaven, because heaven has been broken. A third of heaven fell. Then the earth that God made and the men that God made fell. And all over the world, except for this little place called Israel, men just run rampant crazy, right? And he wants to redeem, reconcile, bring back into harmony with his world all of this by one act. Do you think it's probably detailed? Do you think it's probably fairly complicated when you think about it? Do you think, because he'd been prophesying for 6 years, he prophesied first in the garden that I'm gonna send a seed and he is gonna crush your head. And that seed's gonna come through a woman and he's gonna crush your head. He's gonna stamp you out. And he's going to stamp you out not only in this world, but in Jesus, but in every other person who accepts Jesus. Now, he didn't tell him that, right? But that's exactly what he was saying. And so then, 6,000 years, he prophesied Jesus is coming. He prophesied from the other world into this one. I'm sending a seed. I'm sending a seed. Then he puts the law in there. Complications of the law just to make sure that every sin is covered, every mistake is done, so you know that yeah, we got lots of sins, right? Well, what's he doing? He's setting it up for revival, for reconciliation. He's setting everything in place. And then Jesus came, and in the spirit world, what happened? It totally changed. Everything Everything changed at that cross. Everything changed in that 3 days. 3 days, God changed absolutely everything in eternity. And then just dropped that on you. So the complications that God had to go through, just, we don't know it. I'm just telling you, it's fairly complicated, right? But he did it. But in that complication, he never missed one part. There's not one thing you can do or face that God has not already won and accomplished and changed. There's not one thing he forgot. Not one thing was left out of Jesus being raised from the dead. Okay, ready? Here we go. It says the power of attorney. We have some lawyers here, so they'll know this, and I hope I do it right. If not, she can correct me. So God created man, and he gave him authority over all that he created. In Genesis 1:26 says, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the seas, the fowl of the air, the cattle, over all the earth, and over everything that creeps, creeping thing that creeps. That's kind of cool. Creeping things that creep. What happens if they don't creep? Anyway, man's was authority has been given to man by God over all that, over all the world, right? Now, so he gives us the world to work in. Everything that we use in the world. We can dig for gold, we can dig for oil, we can cut down trees, we can build houses, pick fruit, garden, sow, plants. This is, just go ahead, you have dominion. It's yours. You have dominion. And so we actually have already walked in the dominion of God if we've made a living. We're actually walking out our authority on the earth, like the apes. The apes don't plant, right? They don't get to make a bigger house, right? We're the only creature on the whole planet that acts like God. Amazing, eh? We act like God. Every time you plant something, you're acting like God. Because God plants and receives. Plants and receives. Anyway, okay, so here's what it means. It means to subdue. It means to bring into order, to pastor, to rule, to regulate, to judge, to have dominion over, examine, reign over. God gave that to man, and it's called the power of attorney. What it is a legal term that a principal or the owner of the world or any business assigns an agent to work on his behalf concerning the business that he wants done. If he's, buying another company or selling his company, or this agent acts on behalf of the donor or of the person who has the power and the authority, and it's his stuff. The agent doesn't own any of it. He is just a agent. He just represents. In two ways the representation takes place is that you must do, as an agent, you act out on behalf of your employer what he actually wants to buy, and also in the spirit in which he wants to buy it. So let's put, for example, so the guy comes over and says, I want you to buy this railroad. So he goes, okay, I'll buy the railroad. He says, but I want you to give them a fair price also. I don't want, right? So now you get the railroad, but you only pay them half. Then in the spirit of the deal, you're not representing him. So you see the difference? The same in the scriptures. God has a reason for buying or getting, for example, church. Let me put it this way. God says, I want a church. Right? So I want people to join together and be one with another and learn and right? So we say, yeah, but if that now becomes, so we go to church and it's, this, you know, we have pastors and apostles and prophets and evangelists, we go to church and everything's nice, you sing and it, but the spirit that is in that church is broken. Is it what God wants? No. Because not only does he want a church, but he wants it a certain way. He wants it filled with love. He doesn't want us, the devil coming in and fighting with us, one against the other. Doesn't want envy in the church because it's not under his principle. It's not the essence of the deal is not there. So we get to have a church, but we also get to have the Spirit in that church. Both are important in the power of attorney. Now, if you act outside of either of those criteria, you are personally responsible for the outcome of that negotiation, right? You to the point that you can bankrupt yourself or whatever else it is. And so we have, you know, what the consequences of bad management is what? Sin, right? It's pretty simple. So that's kind of the simplest way I see this. God has put us in control. And he expects us to act a certain way and to do certain things and also act it out in a certain way. Okay? Go.
He put us in control. Now, what does it mean when people say, oh, kind of never mind, God is in control? Because I hear that all the time.
They're giving away their authority. They're not
Okay, so
accepting their authority.
Yeah, here's the question. I think they probably heard the question, but I'll do it again. The question is, okay, what about people that always say, well, listen, God's in control? Okay? Let's talk about control for a little bit. First of all, we gain, well, it's a little tough because you see, there are some people that have lost control of their life because of some of the traumatic experiences of their life. Their will has been overtaken by demonic activity, right? If, for example, you were raped very young, right? And it just, something entered in you, you've never been able to overcome that, and so what happened was that the demonic activity had taken over control of that part of your life, and you've lost control, right? And so, and it's true, like if you have abuse in father, you have abuse in a mother, you have continually something until your will has been overtaken by something, some demonic idea, lie, and or spirit. You do not have the ability to make a decision in those areas. Okay, so that is a loss of control. The other loss of control that we experience is just this, that God will look after it. What we're doing is, like Armin says, we're abdicating our ability to choose. Right? And God's very merciful to us, and He'll keep you a baby as long as you want to be. Right? Babies don't, babies, they just go until somebody feeds them, right? Well, that's kind of like that is. God doesn't want us to continually be in childhood. He wants us to grow up, right? And become part of the solution rather than be a giver, not a taker all the time, okay? However, the unseen tells us that you, as a human being, because you were born of a woman and have entered the world the proper way. Now, the devil did not enter the proper way. He has no authority here but what we give him. Because you have to have authority, you have to come through the womb of a woman to have authority on the earth. Okay? So, if you have lost some part of your will, demonic activity will be involved, right? And the regaining of that is the healing of your soul. We get rid of the lies, we get rid of the trauma, we get rid of the what's happened, and we get healed, and all of a sudden we get back control of our lives, right? And so then we can live out our life by what?
Faith.
Faith. Why? By the unseen world. The unseen world heals me and tells me, I can pick my head up. I'm not what they tell me I am. I'm not what my experience is. I'm what God says I am.
Yeah.
I was born on the earth to have authority. I'm the fastest out of 6 billion sperm. Right? I'm the fastest. Right? One guy says to me, yeah, it was a pretty shallow pool. But I was the fastest out of 6 billion. So the minute I was conceived, I was already a winner. Born and raised in the image of God. I came out in the image of God. God made me in his image. Boom! A boom. And so all the other stuff tries to tear away at us, and it's all in this world. It's not in the other world. It's not what God has made. It's not what God sees. It's what God. So we are actually making the travel between two kingdoms when we use faith, right? So I'll tell you about this Texas guy has a cattle ranch, and the DEA, the Department of Drug and Firearms or something, came over and says, we're having lots of trouble with people growing poppies and marijuana on their place. And so he just shows them his badge. He says, I have authority to search your place. He says, yeah, sure, no problem. But I tell you what, don't go in this pasture here. And he says, you don't tell me what to do. And he shows him the badge. He says, I have authority. Okay. So a little while later, the farmer is standing out in his yard, and here comes that guy running, and the bull running after him, right? And the farmer's yelling over the fence, show him the badge! Show him the badge! Sometimes that's us, right? Sometimes that's just us. Okay, so we get to now. Okay, so now let's go back. We'll go back in number 9. Oh, you know what? I'm going to stop right there. It's about a half hour, and then I'm going to break it and we'll start again. Okay? Just hold it. Stay there.